Live?
From New York.
Live from New York. It's shat her internet, not live. Alrighty, everybody that will not be watching this. This is just a one-off, even though I've completely stopped streaming.
Stream Elements says,
damn it, Streamlabs.
Scorpwana is now live. Streaming Star Trek
damn
Online. Star Trek Picard. One-off spoiler
Damn
stream.
you,
April 13th,
Labs.
2023.
Yeah, Stream Elements. This is just going to be a one-off, so we can continue to talk about Picard. And, yeah, because we're excited about this episode. 309 Vox. And, Core's ideas and stuff. If you're not aware, this is going to be spoiler heavy. So...
Very, very spoiler.
So fuck everybody that hadn't watched it.
And it's probably going to talk about the series as a whole, minus the final episode, because it hasn't taken place yet. But
right, yeah, it's going to be the previous episodes and this, and not the last one, which you can pretty much predict what's going to happen in the last one. Picard's going to die.
Yep.
Because he has to. Janeway's going to show up.
It's true. She's going to show up and save the day.
She's going to save the day. I just got through watching some of Greebog's stream. He has very good content for streaming Stowe. I highly recommend him. So the episode began with a red door.
Yeah, I guess we should bring up the big elephant in the room, right?
The big elephant in the room, yeah.
Yeah, I was wrong.
You were wrong.
I was wrong. It had absolutely nothing to do with the Borg.
That's right.
The Borg were nowhere to be seen. For everyone watching, this took me by complete surprise.
Yeah.
Supposedly there's a race in Star Trek lore called the Paul race.
The Paul race.
And what happened was, in an alternate universe, the Paul Wraith were known as the furries.
The furries.
And I'm fucking kidding. It was all the Borg.
Yep. There it is. I got a picture of it on the stream right now.
It was all the Borg. And I mean, to no surprise, this is not a surprise. I mentioned this after we watched the episode. I actually paused at this scene when we were watching it and through basically what was a reverse temper tantrum because I was so fucking happy to be right. I was like running around my living room doing backflips and shit.
Yep.
But I mean, there should have been no reason for me to be that excited to be right because the evidence was thrown in our face.
Yes.
Episode after episode.
The little
after
hints
episode.
kept coming.
If anyone, like, people were like reaching so hard for it to be anything
other than the Borg.
The Borg. And I get it. I mean, again, I talked about this yesterday. If it's like Doctor Who, their most recognizable enemy are the Daleks.
Mm-hmm.
They're always going to use the Daleks.
Yeah.
A small subset of people from Doctor Who may be sick and tired of the Daleks, but they sell, plain and simple. There's just no avoiding it. Daleks sell. It's the same thing for Star Trek. There might be a subset of people that are so tired of the Borg, but I mean, they're still a super popular enemy in Star Trek. I mean,
they've been the big bad of TNG and on for like ever now. Ancient.
And that's the thing is, they were a big bag of the TNG, but they weren't really. I mean, from what I understand, I haven't watched the whole series yet. They're a big part of the whole Locutus of Borg thing. They probably had maybe a couple more appearances, but the big thing about the Borg was Voyager. That's where they had the majority of their screen time.
Yeah.
Yes.
They did well enough to verify that they needed like their own series to take care of some Borg issues.
Like, yes, there's Borg stuff in TNG. Obviously, there's no Borg stuff in the original series because they just weren't thought of at that time.
Right.
Yes, there's the Borg had a movie which was First Contact. They are very prevalent in Voyager, as we already discussed, but like, how often were the Borg in Deep Space Nine?
I can't say that I ever saw one. I can't
Okay.
remember. They were in one episode of Enterprise.
How often were they in Enterprise? You said one episode, right?
One episode, and they did not call them the Borg. They didn't know what they were.
Right. Have we seen them yet? I haven't watched all everything yet, but have we seen them in Strange New Worlds?
We have not. That's Kirk
Have
era.
we seen
Yeah.
them in? Have we seen them in Prodigy?
We have not. I don't think.
Are they in Lower Decks?
Well, there's goofy stuff about them and whatever there, but they're not technically of an enemy or even really there.
All right. So now here's the biggest surprise when it comes to the Borg. Has there been a new universe, a Kelvin universe introduction of the Borg yet?
No, there has not been.
So to me, all these people complaining that, oh my God, Star Trek depends on the Borg so much. It's not true. They're not there. Yes, they're used.
Yeah.
But they're not heavily. Hold on, someone's knocking at the door. So yeah, they're throughout the entire show and the series, but they're not super heavy. I mean, if I guarantee if you took out Voyager, the Borg would probably only be in like what, maybe 15, maybe even less
Maybe half a
of
season.
everything else that comes to
Yeah.
Star Trek.
Visually,
And even then, like, even if you include Voyager, yeah, they were used heaviest in Voyager, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they were only in a max of 15 episodes in Voyager.
yeah. And one of the
So-
reasons they're not in Kelvin is because Kelvin's around the Kirk era still.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they haven't.
But I mean, they probably wanted to at some point, depending on how, because I imagine they wanted to go big universe with Star Trek. They wanted to do
Yeah.
Kirk era. They probably wanted to reboot Picard era,
There's
but it's like
There's rumors
too soon
fluctuating
for
about
Picard.
that. Yeah.
They want to do all this stuff, and I guarantee you, they want to do the Borg.
Karen, yeah.
They haven't had the opportunity yet, but they want to.
They have with Picard. They snuck him in there.
Now we come to Picard.
Yeah.
Picard has been very Borg focused. I will admit that. But the thing is season 2 is the only season that had Borg as the entire overarching story, basically.
Yeah. Physically had Borg doing Borg things. Versus you just saw them in the first one. You saw a cube. There was a shutdown cube and all that. But, it was more of him like, just kind of like, here's what's happening now with this Borg cube. And then the second season is like, okay, well, here's the Borg Queen that's on your ship. That's now part of your crew because she's absorbed into Girardi. So, yeah.
So, yeah, we have season 1, season 2. And the thing about when Picard was first announced, it was basically announced as Picard's swan song. It was going to be the end of his story. And if anyone was kidding themselves that there wasn't going to be a Borg-heavy show, they were just in denial, plain and simple.
That's right.
They
had to have the Borg in there because it's Picard. It's just a must when it comes to him.
I mean, that was a big thing. Even in the movies, the Borg was haunting him.
Yeah.
So it was always going to be the Borg. It was always going to,
Yeah, because you
you
think
know,
about Picard, what's one of his biggest things?
OXNYX053 says, denial isn't just a river in Africa.
Hey, Ox.
uh,
In
his balls.
Africa. No, but Picard, when it comes to him and his ultimate enemy, that would be his white whale, as he called it in First Contact, the Borg.
Right.
And yeah, other than that, if you took the Borg off the table, you're like, okay, what then? Because
So,
I can't remember anything else that he would be associated with. So yeah, anyway, moving forward, Jack, finds this information out from Picard that, he's got Borg inside of him instead of aromatic, what is it called? Syndrome, whatever.
aromatic syndrome. I
Yeah,
finally, for
aromatic syndrome.
now. So it's the big thing we learned this episode, and it's not really a big thing. There are a lot of big things we learned this episode.
Yes.
But one of the big things we learned this episode is that Picard's aromatic syndrome, he never really
OXNYX053
had
says, if not the
aromatic
Borg,
syndrome. It was
Picard's
something
biggest
that
enemy
was
is
basically
Starfleet politics.
transferred over to him via the Borg, this big plan, long-term plan that they had,
Yeah.
and their next step of evolution. And it ended up being disguised as the aromatic syndrome.
Yeah. Ox has a point.
I
Yeah.
remember,
Starfleet politics.
if not the Borg, Picard's biggest enemy is Starfleet politics. That's good. And you know what's funny? That was actually a thing in season 1
Yeah,
of Picard.
that was the thing.
Starfleet politics. The second episode, maybe. It was either the first or second episode. I think it was the second.
OXNYX053
Was
says,
it? No, the
he is
first.
still dealing with it.
He goes to Starfleet, and there's this one admiral he's talking to, and Picard, being the person that he is, starts giving orders, and the person's like, the effing hubris on you to think you could just come in here and just like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
And I was just like, damn, man, they're gonna toss up a card like that? Like,
Yeah, he did some wrong bullshit to them, and he's on the outskirts. He's blacklisted from Federation, pretty much.
but yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing. Like you say, if it's not for the Borg, it's going to be Starfleet politics. And honestly, that's what the show has been about. He dealt with Starfleet politics in season 1.
He's dealing with Starfleet in a way now, still too. Yeah.
He dealt with Starfleet politics in season 2 as well, but it was like the opposite end, the Confederation.
Yeah, killing
of
everything.
Side of that. And then in season 3, it's a huge
Orion
mix
One
of
Star
both
says,
Starfleet politics
Starfleet
and
politics in season 1 and basically
Borg.
getting demeaned and to belittle in season 1 by other people.
Hello, Orion Star. Yeah, that's yeah.
OXNYX053 says, yeah, Section 31 will get Picard the hookup if there is a season 4.
There shouldn't be a
Orion
season
1
4.
Star says, hello.
Yeah, they've already announced that this is the final season. I mean, Patrick Stewart's freaking looking like death. We can't beat around the bush here. Dude's looking old.
Yeah.
Dude looks like he needs to retire. And he didn't want to do 3 seasons to begin with. He only wanted to do the one-off season. They somehow convinced him to do more, and
they didn't kill him at the end like he probably wanted them to. So he's like, okay, can you kill me in season 2? No, damn. What about season 3? Now, and since Data is somewhat officially back, it will be Picard's time to sacrifice himself for Data, is what a lot of people are thinking. And that could be a thing coming up. Because they have Federation Day or whatever it is. Founding? I don't know what damn day it is. Yeah, where they have fireworks going off and everything, and they're all excited because all the ships are going to be showing up, and the computer's going to automatically put them in formation, and they're going to have this big, huge celebration with all of Starfleet in one damn location at the New Earth space dock, which is probably not going to be in the game at all because they'll be fixing bugs forever. And we get a glimpse of the Enterprise F when that happens. The one from the game that came from the game, put into the show Picard. So now that seals more of the game with canon towards Star Trek Online and Star Trek in general. So yeah, that model is specifically from the game and just rezzed up and more texturing done to it and polygons and shit, but in the mesh better and all that. And, yeah.
Orion 1 star
So here's
says,
my thing.
well, yeah, but storylines don't really match up exactly with
Starfleet.
the game and the card season 3.
That's right. Yeah, it's a game.
How many ships do they have? Because it didn't look like
A whole bunch.
all the ships were supposed to be there, but honestly, it didn't look like they had more than 1 to 200 ships.
Yeah,
And
they
you
were
would
like
think
grouped
Starfleet
up.
Would have like
They were grouped up to like maybe, was it maybe 20 to 50?
OXNYX053 says,
One little
hence
thing
the
each.
meme that it was the most expensive scene due to opening up all the lock boxes to
I don't know, it looked
populate
like
the ships.
10 to 20ish to me. I don't know.
Ox, that's funny. It was the most expensive scene to open up all the lock boxes to populate the ships.
That's sad, but it's true.
Orion 1 star
Right.
says, LOL.
No, they just went on the test server, the beta server, and
That's right. Triple server.
Opening them
that's
up for
still
free.
down, I think, too. They've been testing on that thing like crazy. While this is going on, Jack has decided that he's going to go find out what the heck's going on with him. So he's following the voices. He's run off from Picard and all of them, got off the ship. So he's heading toward these voices where he encounters the Queen. And the voice of the Queen sounds just like, what's her name? Krieg, Alice Krieg, that played on
yeah, something like that.
First Contact's Borg Queen.
OXNYX053 says, it's a common standard ship of the line. In
That's
game
right.
only
The
a
OG
lockbox
Queen
item.
is back.
OG Queen, and she kind of looks not all there in a way, but would make sense if somehow or another she survived First Contact movie and kind of rippled her way through time or whatever like that, Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool, that they had that, and then Jack's standing there and he's getting assimilated.
Orion 1 star says, she's gonna make Lacutus Jr. out of Jack.
Jr. Yeah, Lacutus, yeah. Well, if this picture that I put up here now, it almost looks like you can carve his eyes out and he looks just like Michael Myers. But he's getting like assimilated right then. And since he has the ability to organically control people like drones, that's why his eyes like flash red and everything. So that's very interesting to me that he'll be doing that. I'm wondering if they're going to put like all the Borg crap all over him, because the other Borg in the episode, since this is a spoiler heavy episode, everyone gets assimilated pretty much.
That's the thing. I don't think they will do the Borg tech. I don't think.
Yeah.
Just because it's supposed to be the next step in their evolution. So
yeah, it's more organic. That's why it was talked about like
Orion 1
his
star says, I don't mind spoilers
yeah,
given the fact that I can't watch season 3.
Ah, okay.
I'm unable to see clips on YouTube, so
Okay.
I'm fine with this.
Okay, all right, cool. But it was said that like his Irumodic syndrome was not that, but it was instead something the Borg put in there, which I always thought was something way back in the TNG day. I said he doesn't have that. He's probably got something the Borg left inside of him, which is why he was like hearing the voices and all this kind of stuff afterward. He thought maybe it was just a side effect from everybody who's come out of being a Borg or whatever. Like Seven, I guess she can hear them too, but she's got tech still on her. Anyway, it's an organic pattern in the genes that they installed or whatever into his
Orion One
code.
Star says, Dr. Crusher missed some spots.
Yeah, his genome. They like rewrote some stuff and put their own code in there that always stayed. It was an organic Borg tech code, and it stayed within Picard that he then passed on to Jack. And that's it becomes a big thing because they use it. They place this
Orion
code
One
inside
Star
the
says,
transporter.
Is the Borg code disguised as that syndrome they talked in All Good Things?
Yes, Orion Star. That's the Irumodic syndrome that is talked about in All Good Things last episodes of TNG. They think it's that because it's the symptoms of that, but now 30-something years later, they find out it's actually Borg tech, organic Borg tech that was put inside of him. His body was stolen from Daystrom Section 1, whatever, Section 31, and they extracted this. And I don't know if they did it then or later, but there's Borg code that's been entangled with the transporter, so anybody that uses the transporter will get this mixed into their DNA too, and it only affects those who has their their hypothalamus or something. What if it's matured, you're okay, but if you're still young, according to everything, you'll have a problem and get assimilated, like whenever they want you to be assimilated, and that's what happens in this episode of Picard. They he's like pleading with what's her face, this Admiral
Orion
lady.
One Star says, and you got this from the episode itself from the card, yes.
Yeah, it come from this episode. There's a lot of this stuff. And Picard's like he's just trying to like warn the Admiral lady or whatever of what's going on because they found out that everybody could be infected with this Borg code. That
OXNYX053 says, pick a card.
Then all of a sudden, everyone starts to get assimilated organically. No tubes, no nanites, nothing. It's the genes inside of them now that was reorganized through the transporter that's turning everybody into a type of Borg, organic.
Now
Borg.
here's a question I wonder: has Jack always had the ability to control people with his thoughts, or was it an ability he acquired after the Borg code was assimilated into the transporter system?
See that makes a lot of sense right there. Even if he's seen like this red door or whatever before, he hasn't used this ability until he like stepped foot on the Titan and everything like came together. But Beverly did say that he used to have these like sort of headaches and episodes or whatever when he was a child. So it was maybe that wasn't developed yet until it got like actually activated, being in vicinity to the Borg influenced changelings or whatever. So I'm guessing they're not gonna like talk anymore about or have any more information about the cutting off of the hand thing and talking to, I'm guessing, the Borg Queen. So
I think that's the thing is,
that's how they
I don't
communicated.
know if it's something that got cut, but I saw a theory that the Borg hand person,
Yeah.
either that or what Jack becomes, is named Vox.
Vox.
And that's why the episode was titled Vox.
Like the birth of the character Vox, which is going to be
Yeah.
Picard Jr. is Locutus. Yeah, the whole changeling thing is like gone now. I mean, that's over with. Unless they just throw a few more in for sheer measure or whatnot. But yeah, I would have liked to known like how she was communicating through the hand, maybe
Orion One
because
Star
of the
says,
whole
I thought that
sales
basically
thing.
the evil captain that wanted to rule the change lengths and destroyed the Titan.
What about the
She was
hand?
the hand plasma monster that was taking over a real person.
Yeah.
OXNYX053 says, the cutest of Borg.
The cutest of Borg. not the cutest. Thought that basically evil captain wanted to rule out the changing links and destroy the Titan. She was the. Well, that's the thing. Orion Star I was talking about the hand thing, like her cutting it off or whatever. I'd like to have seen more about how that was established as far as how the Borg could control. I'm guessing because of the sales thing. Because remember, someone once told us changelings don't have cells, so they can't be assimilated. Well, evidently, whenever they get, evolved to where they can have some cells, they can partially be assimilated, and that piece of assimilated tech or whatever can be used as a communication device because we saw it in this season of Picard. That's I'm thinking that's what it is. Is like their ability to use this because they can, you know, get in there. I don't know. I got so much shit in my head all the time about that kind of stuff.
That's the thing. The whole changeling storyline, it's sloppy writing.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
It makes sense, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense because here's the way the order of events happen that I could piece together. You have season 1 of Picard. They go through all the wacky adventures, which leads to the final episode where Picard dies from his supposed syndrome and then is reborn in a synth body.
Yeah.
The Daystrom Institute collects the remains of Picard and sends it to Section 31, where it gets experimented and researched on. Their changelings at the time are also okay. Now it's starting to kind of make. I think I'm seeing it now. So changelings are pissed off because obviously they're being experimented on.
Yeah.
In the process of being experimented on, they evolve, and Vatic is born. Before leaving the Daystrom Institute, Vatic collects the remains of Picard because she sees the data of the research of the syndrome and how it might be able to benefit the changeling cause because of how it could help improve them as a species. They see a way how they can connect to humans and control them, and then they use that to get their revenge on Starfleet. But what they don't know is that the Borg are behind this syndrome that Picard has, and so when they try to use it to their own benefit, that's how they get assimilated by the Borg.
They got infected by the syndrome stuff, probably. Yeah.
And that's now I say it's sloppy writing. It is sloppy writing in a sense, but it kind of isn't. You just got to kind of pick it apart yourself.
And she passed that on to her brethren. She can make anyone like her because they're partially assimilated, just barely, because of the whole sales thing.
Exactly.
And that's why they can be controlled by the Borg.
And that's the thing is, to me, the changeling aren't necessarily being controlled by the Borg. They're just obviously threatened by the Borg. They just have no. They basically want what the Borg want. Well, the Borg want to control everything, but the changelings just want to defeat Starfleet. They want revenge.
Yeah.
So it's basically the enemy of my enemy is my friend, is what they're going on with.
Yeah, they're in kind of a cooperation a little bit.
from what I could tell, Vatic was never fully assimilated. She had full control over herself. She was just being controlled
Orion One
by
Star
the
says,
hand figure.
but what if this was the same MO in the DS9 version of Changelings?
The same MO in the DS9 version of Changelings. Well, they were still a liquid, so they didn't have any like evolved cells in DS9. They couldn't be like assimilated by the Borg or anything like that because there were no cells, according to someone that told us this. Because they didn't really have anything about the Borg in DS9, at all that I can even remember. I can only remember if there was one in the episode, but probably not. But the Borg's nanites seem to only be able to change, like go towards cells, and since changelings have no cells, they couldn't assimilate them. However, when Vatic
Orion One
evolved,
Star
she
says,
was able to have
know
cells.
their motivation for wanting to control everything in this way. They were like the Borg cause. I wanted to control everything, but it wasn't just that they were scared of people. They were also hating people, so yeah, they kind of became the big bad, not just victims.
Yeah. Yeah, the changelings have always been an iffy type situation, even with a lot of things. So anyway, on board the Titan, since everyone's getting assimilated, this means hell, we got to get off this ship. So they find a shuttle. Yeah, Geordi and Data, and Geordi and Data have a Geordi and Data moment where they.
Let's get one thing right here. It's funny. They do have a Geordi and Data moment, but what I like about this moment is that it's kind of a Geordi Data lore moment, because the comment that Data makes is a very lore comment to make.
Yeah, it's like a condescending type thing.
Yeah.
Data trying to joke and Lord throwing that in there. So it's a conversation between three people.
And if anyone here is confused, last episode, it's actually a accumulation of multiple episodes, but Data dies at the end of season 1, but Dr. Sung built Data another synth body and implanted, even though they only show Data and lore, supposedly he's the accumulation of Data, lore, B4, and some Dr. Sung.
One of the doctors, yeah, and his daughter.
His daughter.
Data's daughter.
But they only shown Data and lore.
Yeah.
So, last episode there was a big conflict in their mind. Basically, lore thought he was winning and he was going to take over Data's body forever, but it was just a trick by Data. So now they're basically one entity.
Data is in control because it's his personality is the one that's in control, even though lore is, back there, in the passenger seat.
OXNYX053 says, and of course,
So
older and more distinguished.
he made a joke to Geordi last night, and it was a very lore joke.
Yeah. I hope we die then, or whatever it was. Yeah, and one of the worst things that could have happened on this series, everyone's been getting excited about the Titan show, and Shaw going to be the captain, and because Core, he loves Shaw as the captain.
Hell yeah, I do.
But guess what happened to Shaw?
Yep. Guess what happened?
He didn't make it.
Took a nap.
He took another nap. He dies in every damn thing he's in, I swear.
He gets hurt, literally, like every second episode.
It's been working up to this.
And it sucks. I mean, they could hand wave him back to life, but honestly, if they do that, I'll just be even more pissed off. I mean, I love the character.
Give him a synth body, damn it.
I mean, basically, if they're going to create a Titan show, it's going to be a 7 of 9 Titan show. She's going to be the captain of this show.
Yep.
But I really liked this character. I just liked his personality, his attitude.
Yeah.
Everything.
He was awesome. He was pretty awesome.
He had little pieces here and there in every single episode, and every single episode you saw just a little bit of character growth. Like, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and he got like you said, he got the shit beat out of him like 3 or 4 times throughout the whole show now, and until finally he got the shit beat out of him by a blast to the chest. So yeah, he's gone. He is no more. So then, well, our main crew has to find a way to stop everything and to set things right, because Picard's like Sam Beckett. He's going to put wrong with what once went right, or whatever it is, backwards. I just said that backwards. So they embark on an adventure to go get another ship, because the ships in this season of Picard, all the newer ones that have been out there since Enterprise D, apparently, can network together kind of like a hive. They can all be controlled as one thing, communicate, and all this kind of stuff. So they need to find a ship that doesn't have that technology. And Geordi, since in the show he's the curator or guy in charge of the Fleet Museum, he's been working on a project for this Federation Founders Day thing or whatever it is, where they were going to show off all these ships. And he takes their shuttle back to his museum, where then they come across this, the Enterprise D. Geordi has salvaged the saucer section from Viridian 3. I think that's what it was, in Generations, where it crashed. Reconstructed like the nacelle areas and stuff, and even got nacelles off of a different ship to put the Enterprise D back together. It's just a museum piece, but it also is functional. So they have like a little nostalgic thing there when that happens. It's not lit up or anything. They go on board, and it's the bridge before Generations, because in Generations they added steps where the captain's chair was up higher, the side seats were spread more apart and higher. The side panels, the gray panels that are just on the slanted walkway there, they had extensions on the ones in Generations and panels there to look more of a battle-y look. I don't know why, but they just did. And yeah, it was a nostalgia trip from like crazy. It was awesome. Yeah, they sat down and everything and took her out, and lit up everything, and it started looking more TNG and stuff. And Picard said his famous "engage," but he said it a lot older. Engage.
Engage and make it so.
Engage.
Orion 1
Falls.
Star says, Star Trek the member Berry generation.
Yep. Remember? Yep. Roddenberry. And then they get to go into warp, and I didn't get to see how they were warping. Guess we'll see it next time, because they went into the flashing. The ship used to do the elongate and flash and then go. But I want to see if they still have the Starfield simulation when this ship is going. Because now in Star Trek, on every ship you see, they have the warp tunnel look or whatever, which I don't really. It's okay. I prefer the Starfield simulation thing that they had before. That was always a better one, in my opinion, because it's just what we were all grown up seeing and stuff. But yeah, it was it was an awesome episode. I mean, Picard. It's been
Orion
a big
Star
stretch for
says,
them to give us
yeah,
the
me
information
too.
about
I
Jack
don't like
this whole
the dot
time.
me too.
But
I don't like that.
I'm glad they did give it to us now instead of waiting to like the next episode, because they stretched that shit out a little too long.
Orion 1 Star says,
They sure
Blue
did.
Space Effect.
Blue Space Effect, yeah. So the one more episode of Picard, and that is like, I'm guessing it's because it's going to be the Enterprise D versus 200 plus thousand ships or whatever of Starfleet that have been assimilated, because the Borg had said in unison, it said the Federation is now assimilated or whatever into the collective or something like that. But One thing they need to do, if they don't do it in next week's episode, Janeway. They've been talking about her the whole damn time, so she's got to be there. I mean, like,
Got to be there.
You think about all these, what is it, like 25 and younger were assimilated automatically. So I'm guessing anybody that went through the transporter, even kids, were assimilated. Even what is 7 and 9's actual real name? Aunt Annika Hansen. She was, I think, supposedly. I think they talked about her stuff back in Voyager that she was actually a kid, but the Borg, like, amped her up. You know, like it, like aged her up to be an adult for assimilation or whatever. Like they could do. I don't know if that was a thing. Or if I just thought it up in my head, but yeah. I mean, they killed, like, I'm guessing, all the elders except for Janeway. She's got to be there because now a female admiral was killed on here, so we need another female admiral. Janeway. Bring in Janeway. There's going to be a riot if she's not there because she's very Borg-centric herself. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be like Enterprise D. Probably it may get destroyed again. Who knows? It's going to be the savior of everything. Everyone's going to get reverted back from being a Borg, I can guarantee it. Except for the ones that die.
Jesus Christ, I mean, Jack Crusher is going to be the savior of everything.
Yeah.
He's going to overcome the simulation.
Yeah, he's going to overpower it and use it against them.
Use it against them, and then... Yep.
And he's going to
We'll have a small cameo with Catherine Janeway, Captain.
Last 5 seconds.
Admiral.
Yeah.
She's going to show up and give, like, Worf a medal or some shit.
Worf. He's saying the
he's
funniest
Wookiee,
shit.
So he's the Wookiee, so he's going to finally get his gold medal at the end of Picard.
He was all like, what was he talking about in there? Did he say something about the Defiant had better weaponry or whatever than the Enterprise D or some other ship?
Yeah, he's like, he prefers the weaponry of the Enterprise. I guess what was it, the Enterprise E?
Yeah.
He prefers and he started listing off the better weapons he liked, and then like Picard was like, Worf, and he was like, oh no, I'm sorry, these weapons are fine, sir. Or something like that.
Yeah. Damn Worf. He's funny.
It's funny, and I like his character, but I don't know if he gets more like of a comedic personality throughout Star Trek: The Next Generation. But if not, I feel like they like, if he's not super comedic in TNG and Deep Space Nine, I feel like they looked at a focus group that said, "Oh yeah, we liked it when Worf made funny jokes in The Next Generation," and they're like, "Okay, everything Worf said is going to be a funny joke." And they're kind of hammering it in. I'm not really liking it.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny a couple times, but like every time he opens his mouth, it's like, I'm being funny, and I admit I laugh, but
yeah,
it gets kind of old after a while.
He was a lot like super serious in the shows and stuff. You know, didn't like everybody was doing the humor thing, and when he would do the humor, it would be like small things that, you know, that since he's a Klingon amongst all these humans and other life forms, his ways are completely different, and he doesn't understand what they're doing. So it's funny when he says things, you know, because it's kind of out of context because he doesn't know the stuff behind
Orion
a lot of things.
1 star says,
here we go.
Everybody's using the what do you call it not consensus? You know that the group hierarchy round table board thing, we got a committee that's a word for the last 5 years, all our stories, whether they whatever franchise they've been. It's all been committee and formulate stuff, so yet you can see it predictable and it's boring. Yeah,
even though a lot of the stuff he said, it's made me laugh, you know. And Worf is different. I mean, he was always, like I said, he was super serious because he's Klingon. and their humor is completely different. It's almost like Teal'c and SG-1. Jafal humor versus him telling a joke and everybody going, okay, well, yeah, we can't not wait to watch the last episode, and then we got to figure out something else to watch.
Yeah.
I
we
suggest
got
like Prodigy if you haven't seen it. It's Star Trek, Janeway,
there's a lot of stuff to watch,
and Lower Decks.
Prodigy
Since
and-
they're gonna have the crossover, I guess, live action to Strange New Worlds. You'll need to watch that so you'll know who's who and what's what. It's got Jerry O'Connell
Orion
in it.
1 star says, Prodigy and Lower
Oh,
Decks,
the
and I did
slider.
make a Lower
Yeah.
Decks character in Star Trek Online tonight.
Slid his right on onto a Starfleet starship, huh?
Yeah, he's a cartoon though. He's like the number one of the captain of whatever the damn Lower Deck ship is called. I cannot remember the name of that stuff. Shit, Cerritos. Yeah, it's like saying tortillas or Dorito.
The Doritos.
Yeah, Cerritos. He's the
Orion 1
number one
star
on there.
says, the Cerritos.
Yeah. Which you can get that ship in the game too. Yeah, they have like a Bajoran tactical security officer that's like super serial about things. And Jack Quaid, who's Dennis Quaid's son, plays Boimler, and he's like got purple hair, and he's like always on the books about everything because he's Starfleet. And then you have the captain's daughter that's on there that's always a troublemaker and doing shit like that. And she hung out with Q one time or whatever, and all that stuff too. And yeah, it's full of cool and it's interesting stuff because it's Star Trek related. It follows with a lot of the lore of Star Trek, even though it can be a bit goofy because it's a cartoon, and I guess they got to include that. But yeah, and Prodigy, you would think that it's just made for 9-year-olds, but that is not too bad. I actually did. I enjoyed watching Prodigy. Because it has like values and stuff in there. There's like a thing with what's his name, the main little dude, the boy captain dude or whatever. He wants to be Starfleet and all this kind of stuff, and he looks forward to it. Then stuff happens or whatever, and you got Janeway, the hologram that's thinking that all of them are like students of Starfleet, and they're learning, so she's teaching them shit about this ship, not knowing that they stole it. I said ship too, not shit. I'm not gonna swear on here.
Gotta keep it PG.
Keep it PG, damn it.
Fuck.
Yeah. And you got real Janeway on there, who, like I said, if in this episode that hopefully has Janeway coming to Picard, if they talk to her and they say something about would you like coffee, and if she says yes, that means she's a changeling, because in Prodigy, she mentions that she can no longer have coffee; she can only have tea, and that's the darkest drink she can have or whatever. The doctor put her off of coffee, and that happens that's the Janeway on there. I think is like a few years from the end of Voyager, so it would be a younger Janeway than the one that's on here, but that would be a thing too. Anyway, if you've got nothing else to add, I'm going to end it.
Not particularly at the moment, no.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that was our little spoiler for Picard Season 3, Episode 308. Vox with the squiggly above the O, or a weird thing above the O. I guess it's pronounced weird or some shit. I don't know.
Can't wait to see what the Paw Wraith do next episode.
That's right, because it's the Paw Wraith. Or, no, it's just a changeling, because the Borg would never.
It's species 8675.
309?
Yeah.
Yes.
They've come back for the big revenge.
The Borg only assimilate, and they do it the certain way. They don't do it organically like they've been doing. Bullshit. Anyway, I'm going to close it. So, everybody, see y'all later. Maybe, I don't know. Probably not. I've ended this streaming stuff because I was never good at it.
Orion
So.
1 star says, Wolf 359 ways ain't inside a job.
Inside job.
Wolf 359 was an inside job. Yeah, I've heard that. That was hard. Yep. Okay, here we go. We're gonna close her down. So see you later, Orion 1 star, and if anybody else is there, I guess Ox is still there. I'm guessing. I'm not sure. The user list is never accurate for me. All right. See y'all later. Bye bye.